is so beautiful when the sun is low. Rolling over the sands, you can see spice in the air. The outsiders ravage our lands in front of our eyes.
There's something awakening in my mind.
You need to face your fears.
Come with me. You need to be ready. I've never met Harkonnens before. They're not human, they're brutal.
The Duke's son sees too much.
This is my Dune. Kill them all.
Only together can we stand a chance.
What's going on, everyone? Great Talon here, and today we're going to talk about Dune 2021. Yes, the re-envisioning of the 1984 Dune movie, the sci-fi opus that is probably best described as a cross between Game of Thrones, Star Wars, and a little sprinkle of Lord of the Rings, all in one mishmash package. A little complex. So I watched the original Dune 1984 about a year ago. And that movie was just too cram-packed. This is based on a series of, I think, 2 novels, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Or 1 novel, but they crammed that novel into 1 film, and that it's just such a big fucking story to tell. Couldn't do it. And the Dune 1984 movie it's just too much going on, too convoluted, too complex. Here it's part 1, and then there's going to be a part 2. There might be a part 3, I'm not sure, but part 2 has just been confirmed. And it's good because it's even though the first movie here was 2.5 hours long, it was spread out enough where the pacing was very well done. I will say that much. Direction was phenomenal. The cinematography was amazing. The acting was just tremendous. A lot of high notes here. And basically, it really was a very well-made movie. The cons for me, before we get into the meat of I won't spoil anything with the story-wise, but before we get into the plot details and the actual how the movie is done, in my opinion, I just want to get in touch on the fact of the cons here. The cons, basically, just to get them out of the way, there's a lot of whispering going on in the movie. So even I still saw it in IMAX and my fucking eardrums were getting blasted out by the dun 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 dun, the drums and the fucking crazy sound effects and everything. There are times when the volume is just a little bit too low to my liking, where they're like whispering and they're fucking talking super, super low. And I'm like, even though I'm IMAX, I'm like, well, did that last scene with the fucking like explosions going off and like the space cruisers flying by, like did that just blast me out so much that I can't go from a high to a low tone? But anyway, yeah, there's a lot of whispering going on. I wish, and they speak so, I don't want to say they mumble sometimes, but there's several languages going on in the movie. There's a sign language, there's ancient language, and there's a bunch of different languages going on. And it's really hard to keep up sometimes. So while the pacing is good, I will say that much, some of the delivery within the pacing could have been a little bit better. And also, if you're not a fan of the book series or even like the Dune lore and whatever, and you're just going into this blind, not knowing, like myself, I went in, I know what it was about to the most part, but there were some things I had to have my friend who read the books explain to me after I watched the movie. So you might get a little bit lost, and even though this movie does a really good job explaining things and spelling things out for the most part, there are a lot of like visions and like prophecies going on here that you just might not grasp, like myself. So that might be a deal breaker, I'm not sure, for some. Other than that, I thought it was a very well-told story. But yeah, so let's get into the plot before I think I give you my thoughts and wrap it up. But so the plot is pretty much, there is this one entity in the universe called spice. It is like this one thing that it pretty much is the power of the universe, of how they do intergalactic travel, trading, and it's like worth a fortune. Why is it worth a fortune? And it's the one thing in the galaxy that, you know, really is like super lucrative. And in this point in time, and this movie takes place in the year 10,191 or something ridiculous like that. Why is it so valuable? Because you can only find it within the entire galaxy. You can only find it on one planet called Arrakis. Now, in this planet, it's super plentiful, but everyone's vying for the power to be the steward there and to rule there and to harness the power of the spice to pretty much control the fucking galaxy. Like the original movie says, whoever controls the spice controls the universe or the galaxy or whatever. But yeah, so that's pretty much the plot point in the as a core. But digging into the little intricate nuances and details of the plot there, the core plot. So there's an imperialistic force governed by the emperor who pretty much dominates and rules over all the governing systems, or planets rather. And he has appointed at first House Harkonnen, the evil House Harkonnen, pretty much to rule over House Arrakis and deliver the spice. Then he pulls them out abruptly to reinstate or just instate House Arrakis. Atreides, excuse me, House Atreides, to be the steward of this planet Arrakis to mine and govern the spice and rule over the people and get them in line. Now that is like almost as a slight to House Harkonnen, but there's a lot going on there that I don't want to spoil. But that's pretty much the plot point as a whole, and then everything just is like a domino effect after that. Once House Atreides gets to Arrakis, everything just fucking falls apart, and then there's a lot of Game of Thrones like devious plots going on here. A lot of wheeling and dealings behind the scenes, behind closed doors, under the table dealings and shit, which is really fucking cool. But you got to pay attention. And can you pay attention is my next point, which will segue into my next point. Yes, you can, because I have a little bit of a hard time paying attention myself in some movies that are really, really long in length and a little bit like drawn out. This movie will grasp you because the dialogue is so rich, the lore is so intriguing, and it's just the pacing is just done so well, and it's shot so gorgeously. You just can't keep your eyes off it. It's very, very intoxicating. This entire movie, right down to the writing and the score by Hans Zimmer. The musical score is just phenomenal. Just in general, I mean, the movie as a whole package, it delivers, it fires on all cylinders. I can see this movie winning easily best cinematography, best art direction, even best director, because he did it. Denis Villeneuve, if I'm pronouncing his name right, Villeneuve. He really he's from Blade Runner 2049. He did a really good job with the direction here. But I have to warn you though, it's another con for some folks. It's going to be a slow burn. There is action in this movie, don't get me wrong, but it's few and far in between, and if you're not into the whole lore, and you're not into the whole prophesizing and whatnot, and roles of destinies and all that shit, you're not going to fucking have a good time here. But there were a lot of cool moments, though, in the movie where, like I said before, a lot of the cinematography is very, very well done, and the screenplay and everything like that. But there's one, they have these, spaceships, they call them, I think, Falchions, and they look like little fucking buzzards, little dragonflies. And I don't know why, it just took me back to my Halo 3 days. I don't know if you guys ever played the video game series Halo. In Halo 3, when they were flying, they called them Hornets, and it looked almost like those little falchions. So I'm like, this, and it was in the desert area, in Africa and whatnot. I was like, oh man, it's just taking me back to my fucking childhood right here. But no, that beside the point. No, the movie's very, very good. Very, very good movie. From start to finish, it's a wild ride. Just be sure, again, it's a make or break. If you're not into the story, if you're not into the lore and the prophesizing, you are going to have a bad time here. If you're just here for the action, you might have a bad time because the action, while present in the 2.5 hours, there's only maybe 2 or 3 action sequences. But from what it is, it's well done, well choreographed and everything. I think the performances, before we wrap up, are really good. Stellan Skarsgård as the Baron Harkonnen is just fucking phenomenal. He's like the fucking Emperor Palpatine. The way he fucking talks is all deformed and shit. It's great. You have Josh Brolin in here. You have doing a great job. Oscar Isaac, Rebecca Ferguson. I'm not a really big Zendaya fan, but even she was okay, I guess. But she wasn't in the movie that long. She'll probably be the next one a lot. And then you have Jason Momoa, who's just playing Jason Momoa. When The Rock is on screen, he plays The Rock. I've come to accept that. Other than that, the movie is pretty solid. So, wrapping up here, if I had to score Dune on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to go for broke here. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was just like Blade Runner 2049. I'm a sucker for those sci-fi opuses. I really hope here that it really does justice in the next, and if it's the last movie, I hope they wrap it up really well. I know these type of movies, like trilogies or sequels, they have a hard time closing things out, but they set the foundation here really, really well. I will definitely watch this movie again. It's definitely rewatchability is pretty high for me. I really enjoyed this movie, and I hope you folks will too. That being said, that is my review of Dune 2021. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch everyone next time. Thanks as always for stopping by.